Getting set up here. Hello. Okay, we're good. Audio. I think maybe a few more pieces of hair reference should do it. Try you and whoop. And let's see. And female male. Okay, let's go with female hairstyle. That's a good one. Whew. I think that should be good. Hello, if you're watching, we're just getting started here. We're gonna draw hair today. First, I wanted to look at this little, like, adding details part. And try to draw it bigger. Damn, that is hard to connect that. Hey, Jacob. You're here first today. I'm doing good. That advice about what to study help you last night? Or how to study, I guess. I'm doing good. It's just freaking cold. Okay, so this is gonna continue. It did. I'm taking as much advice as possible. I think people underestimate how difficult it is to make your own curriculum. You know, the self-taught artist route is possible, but it's really hard to make your own curriculum. Not just because it's hard to do it just in and of itself, but like getting the motivation to do it as well. It's a lot. Sorry, I'm going to do something a little boring here so that I can study this. Interesting. Tell me about it. It's hard to keep yourself busy and focus. The reason because I'm setting a goal and giving myself 5 years to learn my art as much as I can. It's always good to have a goal, but your focus should definitely be in creating systems that help you draw consistently and not trying to get to that end goal. Because if you create the systems, you will get a lot done towards your goal. But creating a goal doesn't help you create those day-to-day systems that actually helps you get there. So the focus should be on the systems, not the goal. Alright, we're gonna go with this complicated ass one now. Interesting point. Keep that in mind as I progress. Okay, good. I really like that that's there. Just gonna It's not bad. It's hard making bigger movements like that. What are your thoughts on Stonehouse's anatomy? Stonehouse anatomy has some good stuff in there, but I know that it was criticized for it has like incorrect information about anatomy. I remember when it came out, people were accusing it of like misogyny and racism. So you gotta be careful with that book. I remember seeing some examples. I can't remember specifically what it was, but it was like, I think when he was drawing the female pelvis, there was like information about how women are structured, and it was just really factually incorrect. So yes, you do have to be careful of Stonehouse anatomy. It does have some good drawings in there for sure. I think my go-to anatomy book right now is Morpho and Anatomy for Sculptors. Well, that looks like it's designed nicely. I like that. Gotta remember to hook the hair. It's like it makes a difference. Hi, Maxim. How's it going? Yeah, that hair hook seems to be nice, and I don't always have to connect these lines. Simple to complex. Pretty good. It's good seeing you. Thanks. Good hearing from you, Maxim. Are you okay? Hi, Angel. How are you? Alright, I'm gonna do one more of these and then we're gonna get into actually drawing heads with hair. I just wanted to try this isolated, simple to complex stuff. I find drawing very short hair is much more harder than long hair. I don't really know. I feel like long hair is harder just because there's more to control. Short hair can be hard because it probably feels harder to design, especially like hair that's all spiky, like Naruto or Ichigo, because it looks weird if you just like just have this on a guy, where it just equal spikiness looks wrong. With design, you're meant to change the shape and do big, medium, small. That's why you got small here, big. I would consider that small, but you vary the sizes. So you have small, big, medium, and that looks better than, oh shit, that wasn't equal. Boop, boop, boop. Right. Hi, Chikage. Do you know what the best book for drawing hair? I struggle with it. Oh, I don't know if there really is a best book for drawing hair. Or at least I don't know one. I've only found pieces of reference that are really good. Like, actually, this is from Serpanger. I will type it here so you can, or write it here. Serpanger. And I think this is from like it's this and this that I had. That are two that talk about, because she talks about the hairline and the part, I have a feeling the rest of this is good, but it's from a larger like PDF or something. I don't think it's too big, but it's like a mini tutorial. I think she has it on her Gumroad. So if you were looking for something, you could start with these, and then if you wanted to know more, I would probably get that. Just because I trust that she knows what she's talking about between this, and her drawings are amazing. So no book, but it's a good resource. think the end of that hair is really funky. Right. That's how that would look. Lovely. I recommend Mark Brunette hair tutorials. They do explain most important aspects. I've never seen his hair tutorials, so let's see. Hair, Mark Brunette.
This is where it gets a little tricky because that counts the sides separately. Sometimes all of these are pretty relevant.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, just from a quick look, that you'd be better off with this, but it can't hurt to have another resource. With hair, it's really, I would say, three main things, but well, you care about another thing too. But it's hairline. It's good that I write this because I'm gonna have to focus on these. Hairline. Let me close this. No, I do not want to save. Which is this part, right? It can change depending on the character, and it definitely helps you achieve likeness. Silhouette's also a big thing. Then the part. Oops. The part, which just means where the hair parts. You can see same head, different parts. Obviously slightly different hairlines create different hairstyles. And then blow, because from the part, depending on what you decide to do with it, you know, the girl in the top left could have thrown all her hair to one side. So sometimes with some hairstyles, you might not see the part, and that's okay. And then, you know, the last thing is just kind of like the hidden one, is just design, which should be the hidden thing for everything. Making sure it's designed well, which is this kind of stuff. Big, medium, and small in the details of your shapes. I guess you could also argue that there's silhouette. I would lump that in with design. You know, because if you're working on all this stuff, the hairline, part, flow, and you get a character and you're trying to go for likeness, if you do all these things correctly, you'll have the silhouette. And then the design is, you know, the flourish, making sure it actually looks nice. And I don't know who said short hair is really hard. Like when you're looking at like Ichigo from Bleach, because I've been drawing him, not particularly his hair a lot, but you can't go around with Ichigo and just draw the same size spike everywhere. It works almost a little bit in the front, right? Because not only is this boring, also doesn't really look like him. You know, Kubo made it so that there were big spikes and smaller spikes, and more like close together, tiny spikes, you design them. But yeah. I can tell I made this head too big, but you know. Maxim. Also, shape language does play a big part when designing a character, both for telling the character story and making a unique silhouette to not get confused by other characters. Oh yeah, shape language again falls into design. But yeah, for sure, you definitely, especially when you're doing character design, like if you, it really depends on which way you, every rule has exceptions. Yeah, as we always say, there are no rules, just tools. Because sometimes you can break all the rules, but because you structured it in the right way, it works. I'm gonna draw these just a little small, just so that we can do them real quick. And it's really cool to draw the hairline because it's so simple and so fast, and then you know, you can do whatever you want from here. Make the part like this, or like that, and then, you know, once you know the part, you can start pulling the hair around it. And doing cool stuff. And again, like I said, sometimes the hair might be totally covered from the part. And then you use the hairline to kind of guide you, like if they have big, try not to screw that up, if they have big like Super Saiyan-y hair, and you just won't ever see the part here, that's okay, you follow the hairline. And then it just becomes like that. What do you recommend in terms of how long should one study for each thing you're learning? That's a tricky question. Because you're always going to revisit these things. No matter how good you are, like, if you study all, it's hard because you want to say like, oh, I'm going to tackle heads and I'll master that and move on to the next thing. But in reality, you're training your muscle memory and your knowledge and all that at the same time. And there's a lot of subconscious learning that's happening, like things that your brain is picking up that you are not aware of. And it happens slowly over time, just through repetition and learning that knowledge. So thankfully, as you learn these things, you're gonna kind of feel like you're not gonna see how bad you are, kind of thing. So the good rule of thumb is like, just as you're starting to feel comfortable drawing the thing, switch out to the next thing. There's actually a few studies about this, that you don't want to, like I think it was like sports players or something, the coach didn't want to let them get too comfortable with the thing that they were learning, who would move them on to the next thing. Because the truth is that in the way that we learn, we don't learn when learning is easy. We don't learn things. It has to be a little bit challenging, right? If you go too far and you make it too challenging, that's a problem in and of itself, because then you kind of want to stop. So if you go too challenging, you got to pull back a little. And if it's too easy, you are not learning. So you need to increase the difficulty if you're just nailing everything, right? It doesn't mean that like you've got professional artists out there like, oh, I'm doing good on this, I need to challenge myself more. This is more for people who are learning and still trying to get up to that level. And you can be sure that professional artists are out there trying to get better with each piece too, or learning something new with each piece. Just because it's challenging doesn't mean that it's like impossible. This way. Hey, Mr. Fahrenheit. I don't know if you ever watched Arcane, but the character has a very good, unique hair design style that really makes each character unique. It's kind of cool. Arcane was amazing. I just saw the teaser for the second season. I don't know anything about the characters for League of Legends, but everybody seems to be freaking out. I think I did not turn this head far enough. It's the best. Arcane's so good. Got one of the booklets they handed out for the first season. Their designs are really interesting and unique. Yeah. I think everybody just fell in love with that art style. It's so... I mean, it's basically hand-painted, right? Every scene. It's impressive. I love the show. I didn't see it until a while after it had already aired, which was obviously a huge mistake because it was amazing. Oh yeah, I definitely can't wait for the next season. It's gonna be amazing. This is interesting. It's nice to see the hair kind of silhouetted because I can actually see where the head shape is. And I never give enough space between the head and the actual hair. It's like it's a little bit of distance away. Of the year. The Netflix dough put to good use. I know. And actually gave us a second season, so we got lucky, I guess. A lot of shows are not as lucky, especially when it comes to Netflix. Oh, baby boy. It's okay. It's kind of sad that the Dota Dragon's Blood didn't get the same kind of hype. Personally liked it. Also, I'm biased, but Studio Mirror did a pretty good job. I don't know anything about the Dota Dragons. I'm sorry. Oh, that connects to here. Okay. Higher. Right. Alright, I'm gonna erase these lines because it's really hard to see the hairs. Dude, any good. You hear all the pitter-pattering, that is doggos. I'm in a house with 1, 2, 4 dogs. One is mine, Keanu, and the other 3 are my mother-in-law's. They're very tiny, but they make a lot of noise. Evening. Hello, Quackin. Just studying some hair. Any of you will watch Castlevania? Yes, of course. Castlevania had amazing animation. Yeah, there's a busy house today. I think they just took them outside, so it should be a little quieter. I'm gonna draw this one over here. Need more space. You move over here. There we go. Nearly enough. What is your favorite song that you listen to a lot? I like epic music, like from trailers. So I like to listen to 12 Titans, if you've ever heard of them. I'm sure if you listen to them, you'll notice music that you've heard before from like trailers and stuff. I don't know. It just makes me feel like I'm doing something epic. You know? Art can be an extremely lonely journey. So feeling like you're an epic, on an epic quest or something can really set the mood. I'm gonna tell you, drawing big is no easy thing. I feel like I need a new way to deal with this. But usually I draw the internal shapes of a face and can tell that the face proportions are off. When I just draw the outside lines, it's like a little difficult. What about you, Maxim? You have something you listen to a lot? Sure, let's go with that. We're gonna do that. So it's gonna fall. Anybody have any interesting plans this weekend? I will mostly be stuck inside. Oh no, and I have to film the next episode, our next video, which I think should be good, actually. I say that, you know, and it's really hard to tell if you're next. Like I think I've got a good video going, and then it doesn't do well. Oh.
I'm not the man you want. You've made a mistake. I'm in touch with technological advances pretty well everywhere, and I can tell you that no one has produced anything like this.
Too far. Actually, just grinding Monster Hunter endgame and watching some anime in between some commission work and drawing practice. Nice. Oh, you have commissions, Quacking? That's pretty cool. Can you tell us what you've been commissioned to do? It's funny that we've all started bringing up Monster Hunter, because I saw what is this streamer's name? Asmongold. He like got into Monster Hunter recently for whatever reason, so it popped up on my feed. And then we started talking about it. I was like, is there some weird resurgence of Monster Hunter right now? I almost feel like I need to play it because I own it, but I think we talked about it. Like the combat felt clunky to me, which It was just something I couldn't get used to. Maybe I need to revisit it. But, you know, there's such a huge gaming backlog. I don't know. It's a big ask. You know how hard it is to make subtle lines? Like, you want to make like this really subtle like S curve, right? But it ends up coming out like freaking hard. I have a feeling it's the using this tablet, you know, because it's smaller, so all my lines are kind of magnified, so more delicate marks are much more difficult to produce. Bad Thanos, what's up? Welcome back. Maxim, I personally like Enemy from Arcane. Sometimes trying to feel super lonely. Music does fix that, yeah. Enemy. I'll have to revisit that one. The soundtrack for Arcane was great, so. Subtle lines are hard because it's just such a slight shift. Yeah. That's why I think the problem is kind of magnified by smaller drawing tablets. Like, I'm trying to be subtle, but because the tablet's small, it's like already shifting my line over this way. When all I'm doing on the tablet is going like this. It's like... it's like you're almost kind of handicapped a little, because the more subtle you have to do things, the harder it is. Because you're making movements that are near impossible. Because you have to be even smaller than you imagine. That's a problem. Alright, I don't think this looks very good, but you know. Probably take a break in just a minute here. Ah, oh, hair, you are so hard. We're gonna take a page out of a book and try to make the hair more interesting here. Something. Also one of those problems that are easily solved via the digital medium if you let yourself. Oh, you mean like smoothing or something? Or the stabilizer? Depends on what program you're using. I imagine the stabilizer would help. It's hard to do those I'm really, I feel like I'm making an almost straight line and it's coming out like this on the tablet. Especially the bigger, like this is a long line to be doing that. If I really care about a line, zoom in for it, then return to 100%. I think you would want to zoom out, wouldn't you? Oh, well, I guess that makes you draw smaller. I don't know. You don't get too many commissions, mostly do a star sector. What is star sector? Oh, ship commissions. Like starships or something. That's really cool. No, Maxim, there's a stabilizer inside. It's up here. I just don't use it. I don't see much of a difference, honestly, at this point, because I've not used it for so long. But Quacken is right with long, like, whatchamacallit, long, subtle, like, curvy lines. It probably would help. Actually, I shouldn't even say probably. Let's just... Yeah, it does help. Here, we can erase this. See what it looks like. Yeah, no, it does make a difference, for sure. But we're doing things on hard mode because we're crazy, so... I'll get it. If you zoom in, you get more screen space, which equates to more tablet space. Yes, that is a good point. It's funny. This is, we're talking about this. This is actually something that I'm going to be talking about in the next video. Everything I talk about in my videos is like things that are happening to me right now. And you guys all told me to draw bigger. And then I was like, oh. There's a lot of problems with me drawing heads like this big. And trying to make subtle marks. Boop. Right? Because on the tablet, I'm drawing a head that's like this big. And then when I started drawing heads bigger for you guys, I was like, oh, now I have to use like a whole new set of, like I could use my elbow, my freaking shoulder, and I haven't been doing that since I've, you know, I don't know if you guys did figure drawing, you use the like big, what is it, 18 by 24 clipboard thing. You get the big pencil that you use on the side, and you're just like, you draw your figures in here. Did anybody use these in a figure drawing class? I used to struggle with that as a kid a lot because I was always too scared to draw big and waste paper. Yeah, I think I mentioned in my video I had the opposite problem. I'd get a big ass paper like this, and I'd be like, alright, I'm gonna fit the whole figure, like the model was over here, like lovely posing in this lovely pose. Right, and then I'd be like, I'm gonna fit this whole figure in here, and then I would do this. This is not an exaggeration. I'm pretty sure I shared the images. Yeah, you couldn't see anything except like mid-torso, and I'm just like, why can't I draw smaller? It was an actual problem. And then I learned to draw smaller. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I can draw small and I can fit the figure in here. And for whatever reason, I just like permanently kept drawing small. Even on tablets. I know what you mean by that. It's better in the long run to draw it bigger. I was poor and felt wasting materials was bad. Oh man, that is tough. I mean, I'm thankful that pencils and stuff weren't that much money. I wasn't doing anything digital quite yet at this point. But yeah, now, you know, I like digital art, obviously. So I gotta figure out what size this is, but I have a tablet that's like this big, and my monitor is like a curved 32-inch. I think this is 32 inches. This is a medium Wacom. I don't remember what size this is. This is gonna be, let's see, the size of my iPad's like 12 inches. So this is like 12 inches to 32 curved inches. So every line I make here, like that, shows up like this. Not like that on my screen. The equivalent. Yeah, it's huge. Hey, I wanted a big monitor for gaming. But I didn't understand that this was gonna cause so many issues. This is literally what my next video is about, by the way. So you guys get the preview. Just 10 people here. Spoilers. Like, I knew that you had to draw small and big to practice art, right? You have to learn how to subordinate detail, simplify things, and how to draw things really big and draw things super detailed. It helps you understand the subject better. What I didn't know is that this discrepancy, I'm like using a bunch of finger movements on the tablet, when in reality, like a professional would be using their elbow and wrist for this kind of line. So my muscle memory is being fucked around with. So right now when I'm drawing this like hair and everything, I'm using my arm in a way that I'm not used to, because I'm used to drawing the head like this big, right? And on the tablet, I'm probably drawing about that size. And you can't make those like you were saying, Quacken, like those nice the marks that you need to be like fluid and subtle, which there's a lot of subtlety in the head if you want to make it real nice. You can't get that by just doing the little like baby movements. Damn, Yusef, spoiling your own videos. Hopefully you still enjoy the video. I won't make it too long. Sometimes draw the subject small, then resize and make it bigger, then draw on top with another layer. When I first started drawing, I used to put the reference beside me and copy it a lot. Mostly used to be some childhood cartoons. Yeah, doing the side-by-side reference is definitely a normal thing. That's okay. Right? Yeah. Drawing small and then making it bigger doesn't solve your... Because if the end goal for you is to get, like, to be a professional artist or to have the same skills as a professional, all of them use display tablets. Like, big-ass display tablets, 20 plus inches, right? And if you've only ever used your fingers instead of your whole shoulder or your elbow, that's going to be a really drastic change for you, and that's a problem. I'm gonna be saving up for I gotta try to convince Wacom to give me a discount on their tablet. It's so expensive. The biggest tablet that they have is 27 inches. Oh, I should take a little standing break. Oi. Camera. There we go. The biggest tablet that they have is 27 inches, and it's $3,500. And that's not counting. I don't know why they do it this way. It really irritates me when companies do this, where they split up pieces of something that you kind of need to make it seem cheaper. Because the stand you need, technically you can get it, I guess, from third-party places and get a really cheap one. But like, without the stand, you're really limited. So it's more than $3,500. If you buy their stand, I think it's like $4,000 altogether. I think it's another $500. People like to get those flex arms so they can move around, tablet. It's a lot of money, but it's 4K, 120 hertz, almost like the whole RGB spectrum. The brightness is really good, like a Mac monitor. But there's really cheap ones too. I think the cheapest one is, because I was looking last night because of this, it's like $200. It's even cheaper than, the non-screen tablet that I have. I don't know how good it is. I'd have to try it, but... And I think I would, if I were to go back and do this again and like choose my first tablet, I'd probably go with a display tablet, even if it meant saving up more money. I'm learning and drawing in pen. Looks not great. Yeah, I mean, learn in traditional. It's always gonna, like, once you move, as long as you don't get a non-screen tablet, if you get a screen tablet and you're moving from pen to a screen tablet, iPad, something like that, there's not going to be that much of a difference for you, because it's the same thing, essentially. You're just drawing on a screen, so there's like a general feeling difference, but it's way different from going from a pen in your sketchbook to like looking down at something and the marks appear up on your screen. That was a really hard thing to get over. It definitely took a few weeks, potentially a month, few months, to really feel comfortable. And now I'm finding out that it was probably not the best decision. 16-inch wasn't too expensive as an intro. I have one, it was 300 euros. I have a cheap Chinese monitor arm for my tablet, wobbles, but it's something I can deal with. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think there's always going to be some wobbling, as long as you can keep it mostly steady. And I'm sure over time you learn to like be more gentle. $3,500 was a lot, but honestly worth it. Also will last a couple of years, I believe. Yeah, Quacken's right. You're gonna hold on. That's like a lifetime. I mean, there's new technology and everything, but the first tablet I had was like, this is a recent. I actually Wacom gave this to me when I was working with them in the past. But I had my tablet before that for like 10 years or something, and I wasn't ready to replace it. I was working with them and they asked if I wanted to get a new one, and it's just new tech. So I was like, sure, I'll take it. Like, if you want to give me that, sure. But I wasn't ready to replace it. If I get one of those like big display monitor, like the 27-inch, that's gonna last me like 15 years plus. I'm not replacing that thing, and if it dies before then, you can be hella sure would be messaging them like, give me my money back, because your tablet was supposed to last a whole lot longer. I still own my old tablets, not that I'm using them, like a Bamboo or the Intuos. Yeah, I'm gonna... Oh, I don't even know if I want... Well, I mean, I shouldn't deprive people of like getting a tablet, but I don't even know if I want to give someone my Intuos, because I think I might be a strong believer in display tablets now. I wouldn't want someone to use the Intuos Pro. Hopefully Wacom doesn't hate me for that, but honestly their display tablets are... They have good display tablets too. Hopefully they won't hate that. They sponsor me a lot, so we'll see. It's not that bad as a hand-me-down, at least until someone can afford to get a display, or they can sell it too. Give it to a hobbyist. And then you can buy the display tablet because you want to be an amazing artist, right? They're definitely cheap options for a teenager. Yeah, but if there's like a $200 display tablet, I think it was XP Pen, like that's cheaper than the Intuos, right? So I would buy that. Hopefully it's still good. I don't actually know. Again, I'd have to check it out. It's not that I don't like this tablet, it's just all the things that we said about how you draw. I've heard of professionals in the art industry still using graphics tablets like that. You mean non-display tablets? Like the Intuos Pro? I don't know many professionals that don't use display tablets. Like I remember working at when I was working at Naughty Dog, I talked to a lot of the artists and the professionals there. They all had display tablets. And I imagine that that's the case. Like we've seen videos inside of Riot Studios and all that stuff. I don't see a lot of professionals that don't use display tablets. I would imagine that would be like an indie studio or something. Yeah, I don't know why Cynics wouldn't use a display tablet. That dude is a very successful YouTuber, I imagine. He has plenty of money. He's probably just comfortable with it at this point. I mean, Cynics also doesn't work. Does he work in the industry? I don't think he does, right? It's mostly YouTube. I mean like people who work on games and films and stuff. I don't think anybody uses a non-display tablet. Because the studios purchase those things, right? So they don't have to get it themselves. I personally like the feeling of non-display tablets. Yeah, I did too. I even like said that I like them more because, you know, when you're drawing, you kind of cover, your hand is covering what you're drawing a little bit. So it can be hard to see, especially if you use the non-display tablets and you know how nice it is to not be covering your drawing as you draw it. But there's a different problem that's occurring, so it just, now I don't think I feel that way. I think I remember hearing he's teaching at an art school. Okay. Might have mentioned it during Lightbox. Yeah, I mean, not that that's, again, Cynics is good, not that that's is any knock to his skill or anything, but I think that there's a difference between like teaching and working professionally, some professionals do teach. But he's probably just comfortable on a non-display tablet and just never switched. But I'm sure that if he worked at like a studio, any type of video game studio or a movie studio, they would give him a display tablet. I imagine it's easier to critique work as well. Like, it's just easier to like show people things and edit things when everybody's equipment is the same. I mean, I think it mostly depends on your end goal, right? Like, if kind of like what Jacob said, depends on the person. If your end goal is to be a teacher, and that's as far as you really want to do things, and you're comfortable on the non-display tablet, then that's great. But if your goal is to be like in the professional world, they all use display tablets, so you're gonna have to get used to drawing on one. And it is different, and you're using different kinds of muscle memory, so it's better to actually, you know, be learning that kind of muscle memory if that is your goal. It's most likely an issue of personal preference. Well, that's the thing, is I'm trying to say I don't think it is a matter of personal preference. I think it depends on your goal. It's kind of like, you know, everybody uses Photoshop in the industry, right? Like, they're not gonna hire you. I'm using Paint Tool Side. Like, if I try to apply to a studio and I can't paint in Photoshop, they'll probably tell me no, right? Because those are the tools of the industry. They need to be standard so that it's easier to work with everybody. As far as I know, all Japanese illustrators are big into display Wacom tablets. I mean, there's a lot of different things now, like people do use Huon and XP Pen and stuff. I don't know everybody. That would be you'd have to poll these artists and stuff, right, to see how many people use display and non-display tablets. How many of those people are professionals? It's an interesting discussion, at the very least. I think there's a lot of... I wish they did like research into this kind of stuff. You know, they always do research for literally every other kind of work, but for artists, it's very complicated, I think, to do research, figuring out if that, like using a drawing tablet, would kind of hinder you from the mark making that you need, that will make like nicer, more fluid lines, right? It would be cool if someone was like an art researcher. Oop. When jumping from digital to traditional, like doing some sketches on the sketchbook after a long time of digital is actual hell. Yeah, when I started picking up art again more seriously, I hadn't used a sketchbook in a really long time, and definitely switching to that was a weird thing. That whole thing that I said about feeling like your hand is covering your drawing as you're drawing. That was a hard thing to get used to again on a sketchbook. I didn't like it. Like, I wanted to just be purely digital. But I really wanted to also challenge myself to use the sketchbook again, especially, you know, I'll draw like in bed before I go to sleep because I need to stop. I don't know anybody here is also addicted to their phone, but I really wanted to stop using my phone. Nanu, what are you doing? Look at this crazy boy. You know, what are you doing? Lay down. Oh jeez, losing the light. There he goes. He's making a nest. But yeah, I'm addicted to my phone at night. So I really I wanted to draw because I thought it would help me stay off my phone and all that blue light stuff that makes it hard for you to sleep. Oh man, I gotta move this down. So going on a sketchbook again was kind of challenging. But I did eventually mostly get over that feeling. I say this, no, it's a rarity, by the way. I just mentioned there's a quirk if you prefer non-display. Oh, okay. Thought you were trying to fight me, Quackin'. No, I'm sure there's people that prefer that. And on it, like, I was one of them. Up until literally a couple days ago when this stuff started to really hit me. And I was like, what am I doing? What have I done? So there might be people who do prefer it, but if they were told this information, it would be like, and this is why I want to make the video. Of like, people may not have thought about this like me. I literally didn't think about this until, well, basically 4 mentioned in the chat to draw bigger. It didn't like occur to me that it was an issue that was causing more problems. Okay, so we have got this like okay. At the end of the day, if you're capable of creating art of a certain standard within a certain time frame and it's comparable to other artists, I don't really think the specific tools matter a lot. Of course, you have to prove yourself first before you can just shut people up. Oh, bye, Maxim. Have a good night. Some things just, you don't see a problem until you're deep in it. Yeah, you can say that again. Yeah, I think it's weird because a lot of art has little to do with muscle memory and a lot to do with your knowledge, right? I've said this before, but you don't draw what you see, you draw what you know, right? If we all drew what we see, we would friggin' draw things beautifully perfect the first time ever, right? It takes years to really know what you're drawing and tons of practice and stuff, and that's when you actually draw what you know. You're drawing what you see in the sense that you that you're observing it and can record it, but until you know what you're drawing, like the anatomy, the structure, all that kind of stuff, lighting, whatever, what have you, if you don't know it, whatever you see and try to draw is not going to translate well. But I do think there is there is a problem. Like if you took somebody who was comfortable on a display tablet and had never really, or maybe he did draw in his sketchbook at one point, but never really drew on a display tablet, and never, especially if he was drawing small. He always drew small, always a non-display tablet, and then you gave him a sketchbook or a display tablet, and asked him to draw bigger. Like, he might get it eventually, right? Because you have the knowledge, right? Especially if it's like a professional, but he's never used the bigger arm movements before, and that muscle memory still does play a part. So it's going to be uncomfortable for them. So you might see them like the things that beginners do, where they kind of like pet the lines, because that is as far as they can go, where they're like trying to get it up here. So it might look a little messy because he's never had to use those muscles and those movements before. But he has the knowledge. Ooh, that worked really well. Okay. So no doubt that a professional can use any tool and create good work. But it is going to be challenging for them because all that muscle memory is not there. So they essentially almost, in a sense, have to relearn parts of that experience if they were to now switch to that. And they might find, which is what I'm finding, that those marks that they used to make, like these marks on a head, like if they were drawing this head, if they were drawing this head this small, these marks that they used to make that they're now comfortable with, but struggled a lot to get good at, right? Because there's more like they're trying to do this with just like tiny finger movements that are now, they might feel that this is now much more comfortable to deliver because they have more movement to make that line so fluid. So not that there's a right or wrong way to do this. Like, you could do it the small way if you really want to, but I do think that there is... Oh, I'm on a different layer. I do think it's important to note that I think, if you can avoid it and your goal is to draw like either traditionally or with a display tablet at some point, you should not be using non-display tablets. I think they will hinder your progress. And that's why I'm going to get rid of mine. Because my goal is to, every person's different, but my goal is to have that professional level of skill. And again, I have noticed when I'm drawing big that it's using different movements, and it does feel freaking awkward, but like I know that this is the goal, to draw with that space. God, it's freaking annoying. I'm not specifically arguing against that. I'm just open to people's circumstances. Oh yeah, of course. I'm not suggesting everybody like goes out and gets a $4,000 tablet. It's absurd. They should not cost that much. They really shouldn't. It makes it so inaccessible to everybody. I get that there's other tablets out there that are cheaper, but you're also using an inferior product, so that's not cool. That's why, you know, when I looked it up, I was excited that there were options available, even if they weren't the best. Come on. There we go. Letting them do their thing if that's what they prefer. Okay, Mr. Fahrenheit. Have a good night. Yeah, no, I would never force somebody. I think it's just it's good to be informed about what will happen with your choices, you know. I think it's a big thing where, all right, I have this and I have heard it before. It's just people get afraid that they're not learning the right way or whatever. That the way that they're learning is not correct or something, and it is kind of a silly fear. I've always had it though too, and this was just one of those things where for me I feel like I wish somebody had told me this, and that's why I wanted to make something about it. To each their own, but if you don't know about it, hopefully this will help you make a more informed decision. Pretty cool hair. Oh no, I wasted X amount of time learning something this way when I should have been learning it that way. Yeah, it's a silly fear, to be honest. Like I said, you're learning. It's a lot of knowledge-based stuff. So even if you were learning something in a weird way, like, you can just unlearn it and do it the other way. And it's not gonna take it's gonna take such minimal amounts of effort. And when you get really, usually people wrap this conversation around art style. They're worried what they're studying is not going to lead them to the art style that they want. And it's just like, when you get good, you can design literally in any art style that you want. Any one. And you're going to be asked to do that if you work professionally, depending on whatever project they're working on, right? do this. Actually, I want to do this girl's hairstyle. Oh, my feet are cold. I'm gonna sit up on my feet. I gotta move the camera a little. I had that same thing too, so I can't make fun of anybody. I literally did learn something today. I didn't know that when it's like one of two ways. They either make this hair longer and they hook the hair at the end, or they hook the hair at the end and make that piece longer. Did not know that they did that. That makes the session good. I've learned several ways to apply color to a grayscale image, and they're all crazy and quite specific. Yeah, exactly. Like, nobody's gonna... If later you find out the one way that you apply color to grayscale is the wrong way, or the long way or something, there's a faster, better way to do it. Like, okay, cool, now you learned the better way. It's just another way to do things. If your drawings are terrible, that might be a whole different issue. But if your drawings are still good and you just learned a different way, that's fine. We're funny. Artists are just funny. We are just so afraid of like screwing up that we totally hinder ourselves from starting things in the first place. Kind of sad when you think about it, you know? A lot of people don't even end up trying, just all simply because they were afraid to start. Well, what am I doing? I gotta draw hair! I think this is gonna be a little bit bigger. Oh. A bigger eraser, please. Feel wrong. That's better. So true. Enticed by the face. Yeah, I know. It's a cool looking eye. If we have a little extra time at the end, maybe I'll draw it in. I actually think I'm gonna have to move this because there's a lot of hair in the back. Right there. Actually, a little bit farther away. But yeah, drawing bigger has been a interesting experience. And I think I underestimated the importance of it. It's just all those small things that people underestimate. There we go. There's more room for screwing up. I got 1 + 1 is 2. That's a whole 100% difference. When you try 100 + 1, that's a 1% difference. That's an interesting way to think about it. You're doing math, which is my weak point, but I used to be very good at math. I just deleted it from my brain. I think I always, for hair, I always thought that it had to be like, I don't know, for whatever reason I thought it had to be like fast. Like you just knew how to draw hair, like, pew, pew, doo, doo, doo. And it's actually very carefully crafted and designed. Especially when you have no idea what you're doing. small amount of maths around from all the gaming. Much like any skill master will make everything look simple as ABC. Oh yeah, for sure. Masters of stuff make things look so easy. That's why you always see, well, there's some racism involved, but there was this thing about how most people, or most men, excuse me, sorry, maybe not racism, there's probably some racism, but misogyny. Most men think that they could beat Serena Williams at tennis if they played in a match, because she makes it look so easy because she's amazing. And it's just like the delusion. But I know I've felt it from art, you know? Like I'll see an artist make like these lines, like doing this eye, right? And I'm not as good as like a master artist or whatever, but they'll come in and they'll make it look so freaking pretty. Drop that in and that and this, right? And you'd be like, oh shit, like now that I've seen that, I can do that too. For whatever reason, you just are in this delusion boat that like, that was easy, I can do it, and then you try to do it and you suck and it's hard. Because one, they have, like you said, we draw what we know. They have way more knowledge than you. And so you're not drawing on any of that knowledge that they have. And two, that they just are more skilled in general. Like their muscle memory, everything. They're like, for Serena Williams, her training, like she's in way better shape. They just make it look easy. So it's deceptive. People think that they can do it too, and they are lying to themselves, essentially. Deceiving themselves. Anybody who's tried any skill and has seen a master do it and try to do it themselves knows that fallacy. Like, it's not as easy as it looks, ever. Especially when a master is doing it, because they just make it look simple. Oh my god, we're getting back into those subtle lines again. No! Oh, I lost my music. Let's go back. Okay. Knowledge and experience, both of which you're not going to be able to see as an observer. Yeah. It's a funny thing that we have that. Like, you observe it and you think that you can do it. Like, oh, that's so easy. It's such a horrible thing for artists too, because that's why everybody undervalues creativity, because they look at what we do and they're just like, I could do that. My 6-year-old nephew could do that. They're just like, okay, so make your 6-year-old nephew do it. You don't have to hire me. I'm gonna lose. Okay, how is this done? Oh, I think we'll make up this part. I'm lucky that I've never... Oh wait, no a lot doesn't help without the experience. From one perfect example. I'm lucky that I've never heard things like that. I don't leave the house much though. Yeah, I don't even like to leave the house that much either. That's alright. Alright, we're just gonna draw a basic butterfly shape. I don't need to be spending time with the pin here. Yeah. Hair is really cool. I gotta go outside and draw some flowers though. No, I don't get out much. I mean, me and my wife do go out on excursions because she's definitely an outdoorsy person. If it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't go out nearly as much. But I gotta go out and like draw organic stuff, you know? It's really cool when you can draw like a flower and do that whole like turning the rows thing. What is it? Like that. Something like that. It looks so cool when you can do it well, especially as a painting. Oof. Done here, so I'm gonna do the eye. Oof. Sketching stages of flower painting tend to grab me because you can definitely see the thought process going on. I want to paint with gouache and oils because of reels I've seen on Instagram. Yeah, I've painted with oils, not gouache. This two came out pretty good. Her hair was a lot more complicated. But it looks nice. It's definitely hard, but it will give you, you know, obviously a really great advantage because knowing how paint works and everything and replicating that, if you're trying to just do digital, is awesome. Okay, fine. All right, we did good here. I think today we tried out different strands and details. I think I'll have a good framework to base, just do some stuff from imagination. Usually I have no idea what to do for hair from imagination. keep a lot of my I've kept my characters bald for a very long time. Just like some crazy reason to like master the head or something. So I'm excited to, you know, make sure that my characters are not bald anymore. And I definitely learned a couple things from this. So this was good. This was helpful, especially the little detail bits. Some people who draw anime hair just draw some of the most gorgeous hair. Hair is a difficult topic, so it's understandable. Yeah. Especially translating some like manga anime hair to more realistic styles. Like some of the spiky stuff, it's hard to understand what happens to it in 3D. But no, this was a good start. Number one tip being to treat hair as ribbons. Oh yeah, that's what, I don't think we did it too much there because it's like one of the one things that I do know. Like when you have like hair that twists, like this. Whoop. This is like the shadowy side. So to treat it as a ribbon. That was like the one thing that I knew. Well, that was about it. But that's a helpful tip. The ribbons thing. Anime hair especially, because I think some people don't always teach it in that manner. But anime hair for sure works like this. It's all ribbony. I'm definitely seeing that they kind of flick the end of their... I mean, it depends on the hair, but when they're doing these like long pieces that are just pointy, I thought it was just like to a point, you know? And sometimes it is... God, I can't even do it incorrectly now. I thought it was just to a point, almost like a triangle. But I'm seeing that they kind of flick in the end, and they either keep the end piece of the curly part or they keep the end piece of the straighter part. And then they also have pieces that like don't close. This is still open right here. Zoom in for that. For a drawing that would work. For a painting, obviously that would be closed shape, so you'd have to figure out how to cap that off. But there's definitely some interesting stuff there. You know, you learn stuff from drawing and painting, so I definitely have to take these into painting and see how that works, because really complicated hair, like let me look at Ray. She did this really gorgeous curly hair that I love. Look at that, little curls. I feel like that was a lot of understanding of the waviness and the ribbonness. Like there was deep understanding of how that hair flowed. It wasn't just random, and that's something I learned too. You can see there are certain angles when the hair just thins out in the air. Yeah, for sure. It's almost like there's an edge to the hair because it's a plane. It's like a very thin piece of paper, and you can see the edge of it. But I think hair requires a lot more careful thought, especially, same with everything. To construct something, it takes a lot more careful thought and thinking, and then once you know it, it becomes instinct, and it's not so hard. That's what's hard about, I think, a lot of art stuff in the beginning, is you have to really pay attention to it and give very careful attention to everything. And it can be exhausting, especially if you're doing a whole character. And then certain pieces of it start to become instinct and they require less effort. So it just becomes easier and easier. All right, that'll be it. Thanks for joining me. Quacking, seems like everybody else wanted to stay quiet, so it's nice to have somebody to talk to. We didn't get to these guys, but that's okay. I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll be back to streaming next week. Probably start focusing on a different part of the head, and then we're going to start moving down the body, because we can't stay on the head for too long. We definitely have to make sure we get some more paintings in too. Feeling murky today? That's okay, Scribble Mouse, you can do that. You guys don't need to talk. I could totally draw silent the whole time. It's just Saturday, and I didn't want to go into something too intense. But yeah, you guys can always lurk. It's totally fine by me. I can draw in silence, and we can all just chill together. And I'll probably end up talking to myself and just mentioning little things about what I'm doing. But yeah, take care. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for showing up, guys. I had fun, and I'll catch you next week.